Welcome to Transport Vlog. My name is Paul and I'm standing on the new aerial concourse at Redfern Station, and you're going to see this and two new entrances, so let's do it. So this all opened on Sunday the 8th of October 2023, and there was quite a party that included some smoke, a few familiar faces and lots of cameras. I'll come back to this later, but for now here is a map of the new bits. So a key component is the new Southern Aerial Concourse that provides lift and stair access to all of the above ground platforms. That's platforms 1 to 10. And that's a big deal because this brings step-free access to 8 of these platforms for the very first time. And this new aerial concourse links with two new entrances, one on Little Eveleigh Street and another on Marian Street. So let's start with the Little Eveleigh Street entrance, which is right behind me. And it's within this former brick warehouse building that is at 125 to 127 Little Eveleigh Street. This building is owned by the New South Wales government, and as you probably guessed, it's heritage listed, so knocking it down was not really an option. This building opened in 1925, so it's almost 100 years old now, and if you remember it opening, then do let me know in the comments. And it has this distinctive and iconic flat iron corner that really makes this building stand out. For the last few years, it's been used as rented office space for small businesses, and they moved out prior to construction work starting. Besides the station entrance, a retail outlet has been incorporated into the building. It's at the western end, and it's quite likely to be a coffee shop. The top floor will be rented out again to commercial tenants, and this entrance door here will provide access to this office space above. The new entrance canopy runs along the length of the whole building, and I love the Aboriginal artwork on the security bollards. That's a nice touch. On the pavement around the entrance are brass inlays with quotes that have been written on banners and signs used by local activists as they campaigned for a better Sydney and a fairer world. And some of these are quite recent. And plaques on the wall provide some more information. As part of this work, Little Eveleigh Street became a shared zone, which basically means that you could walk on the road, as cars are for access only and are limited to 10 km an hour, but do watch out for cyclists. From the Opal gates, the aerial concourse is clearly visible, so passengers will naturally know where to go, although there are signs to help them. So now inside, and the majority of the floor for the level above has been removed, and that means that the ceiling is much higher, and that creates a greater sense of space. And it also allows natural light to come in through the first floor windows. For the ceiling, the existing timber beams have been retained, along with the underside of the original timber floor. And I love the classic lights and lampshades. We don't see these very often these days. Towards the flat iron corner are these horizontal and diagonal metal beams, along with the bolts that are holding them in place. Besides serving a structural purpose, they blend in well with the heritage aspects of this building. And this is the original brickwork on the walls. They were previously painted in this cream colour, so the same colour has been used again. Now you don't need to be a passenger to use the new entrances and concourse. This community access facility allows you to cross Redfern Station to Marian Street without needing to tap on or off. This is wonderful for local residents. But if you are catching a train, there are 8 next train displays to help you. And above them, it was wonderful to see historical videos being projected onto the original brickwork wall. This shows how life in Redfern looked before smartphones were invented and when kids played on the streets rather than on their computers. Things could get a little boisterous, and when that happened, this little girl was not impressed. Beyond the next train displays is a passageway to the toilets, and this is worth a look even if you don't need to spend a penny. Is that a saying in Australia? There are 4 toilets, and this includes one that is fully accessible. Here is a quick look inside one of the ambulant toilets. No surprises in here? Well, not today anyway, just the usual sink, soap, mirror and hand dryer. And the 2 original windows at the end greet you with some amazing views of the station. And on my way back, I bumped into Phil from Sydney Trains Vlogs. Hey Phil! I'm here.
Paul!
How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm great. What do you think of the new station concourse and entrances?
You know, the station, not only it looks amazing, old building repurposed, it's just the convenience because of the lifts.
Absolutely.
That's probably one of the first things I thought is, Redfern's finally got lifts. The accessibility is just a whole new level now for Redfern, so that's number one.
Absolutely.
The concourse itself is so good because you don't need to walk right around the whole station just to, get across to, is it Marian Street?
That's right, yeah, Marian Street.
getting from one platform to another. You don't have to go right around, so it cuts time. It's just amazing.
So you're going to do 2 videos on this. You're going to do one for Sydney Trains Vlogs, but you're also going to do another one for Abandon Oz. A link to one of Phil's videos is in the top right, and both are in the description below. On the railway side, the top of the aerial concourse and its connection to platform 1 reduces some of the natural light coming in through the first floor windows. But there is a 1 metre gap between the old and the new, and this gap enabled the first floor windows and surrounding brickwork to be more visible on this side. And it also helps to bring some natural light into these windows. This simple steel structure connects the two together and provides protection from the weather as well. And this is how this structure looks from within the Little Eveleigh Street entrance. Now, I've been keeping an eye on the progress of building this entrance for the last few months, so here is some footage of that. So in March 2023, temporary boards appeared around the first and second floors, but work hadn't yet commenced to remove the brick walls for the station entrance. This window closest to the pointy flat iron end was retained, but with the ugly security bars removed. The station entrance now starts where this larger second window used to be, so this window and the wall to the right of it was removed. This opening here used to have a roller shutter door, and the wall next to it with the 125 to 127 street numbers was also removed, along with the windows behind, that are now part of the connection to the aerial concourse. This larger opening also had roller shutter doors, and this wall on the right is where the next train displays now are. By late June, the work to remove the walls had been completed, and you can see the scaffolding and temporary supports for this new entrance. And with more light now visible, it appeared that the wall on the railway side had also been removed by this time. By late July, the horizontal structural support beam or lintel was in place, and that's now supporting the brick wall above. And new vertical steel columns have replaced the brick walls, and this maximises the space around the entrance. Here is a good look inside, including the opening to the aerial concourse. And now looking towards the future building entrance and retail space. When I returned in mid-September, it was getting very close to completion. So let's move on to something that is completely new, and that's the aerial concourse. As I mentioned earlier, its main purpose is to provide lift and stair access to platforms 1 to 10 and a connection to the Marian Street entrance on the other side. I'll start with the design features of the concourse itself and then cover the lifts and stairs. It's 90 metres long, 6 metres wide, and the floor to ceiling height is about 4.5 metres. The walls are made up of light grey perforated aluminium panels that have these subtle patterns on them that are achieved by using smaller holes to create this bar chart-like effect. At passenger's eye level, larger holes are used throughout, and this enhances visibility and brings in more natural light. The patterns above and below then become a continuous mesh of smaller holes, and this enhances the middle part, especially when looking from the outside. The perforated screens provide more privacy to residents in the water tower building on Marian Street, and this was one of the reasons for choosing this over glass screens. And the use of more subtle grey colours creates some contrast with the much more colourful heritage station buildings. There are some glass sections between the perforated panels in a few different parts of the concourse, such as on either side of the platform stairs. This is to help passengers identify the correct platform, and these glass screens also provide some lovely views of the heritage station buildings and the trains below. There are also glass panels on either side of the lifts, and these have fantastic station and railway views. And close to the Little Eveleigh Street entrance are further glass sections, and these help bring more natural light into this entrance. Within the ceiling are aluminium battens, and these differ depending on where you are. Over the lift and stair entrances to the platforms, the battens run in parallel to the concourse and have a yellow coloured ceiling behind them. And then between the platforms, it changes to diagonal battens with an orange background, and then to a red background, with the battens switching direction, and then back to orange again, and then yellow for the stairs and lifts to the next platform. On either side of the batten ceiling are skylights that bring further natural light into this concourse. The passenger information displays within the concourse show a list of next train departures, and on either side of the stairs are displays showing the next train from the corresponding platform below. So I've got Sharath here from Building Beautifully, probably needs no introduction. Sharath, so this new aerial concourse and entrances, what would you say are the top 3 things that you like about it?
Well, I love how it blends old with new. You have the old waiting sheds and the old concourse with this new grand structure. I love how spacious it is, that's number 2. Much more space than the old concourse, doubles the capacity. And third thing, I love how it gives people two options. They can now exit out of the north or exit out of the south.
Absolutely.
You know, overall just brilliant.
Thanks for that, Sharath.
No worries, Paul.
So what I'm going to do now is show you the lifts and stairs to the various platforms, starting with platform 1. And these are both on the southwest side of the concourse, and if you're coming from the Little Eveleigh Street entrance, you'll see these on your right. Okay, let's take the lift down to platform 1. Now this lift has 2 doors, which is pretty standard, but the reason I'm mentioning this will become more obvious later on. The lift buttons are large, probably about twice the size you'd normally expect. All the new lifts can accommodate 17 passengers, and as this one descends, it's worth checking out the railway views towards Eveleigh. And also notice how the stairs wrap around the lift shaft. At platform level, the lift doors are on the same side as the aerial concourse, so that's facing towards the existing station entrances and this thing. And it's not the only one of these things on platform 1, there's actually 4 of them. Luckily, Phil from sydneytrainsvlogs was still around, and he explained that these things are in fact chimneys. And they are for an underground bypass line that goes under platform 1 and then below all the tracks on the southwest side of Redfern Station to come out on this track that leads to the Eveleigh Train Maintenance Centre. This underground bypass line is only used by out of service trains, but quite a few of these are diesel and in the past probably steam too, so that would explain the reason for the chimneys. So now back on topic, and as I pointed out in the lift, the platform 1 stairs wrap around the lift shaft, and that's because there isn't sufficient space between the aerial concourse and this Heritage Station office building for a straight set of stairs. And this station office building used to be where the stairs now are, so it's been moved. It dates back to 1884, so it's even older than the Little Eveleigh Street warehouse, and it's a rare example of a Victorian station building. With other heritage listed buildings along with the chimneys on other parts of platform 1, there was literally nowhere for the stairs and lift to go. So in November 2021, this 70-ton station office building was moved 18 metres further along platform 1 to where it now stands. The foundations had to be removed brick by brick and a new concrete foundation created in its new location. It was then placed on a metal pulling frame that was installed underneath it and then moved carefully to its new location. I wish I'd been there when they did this. As the door was open, I got a few clips of the inside from just outside the entrance. As you can see, it's currently empty, but it will be repurposed in the future. Here is a closer look at one of the brick walls and the ceiling, and it looks like this is all wood. And now the windows. So now back to the platform 1 stairs. And when you see the Heritage Station office building as you walk up these stairs, you'll know that it used to be where you are now walking. And when you turn to the right, you'll get some close-up views of the back of the Heritage Warehouse building, including the newly restored and repainted windows. And on the next turn to the right, the aerial concourse comes into view, with the Little Eveleigh Street entrance now on the left. And this is where I bumped into Elliot from the tsetstransport YouTube channel. What do you think of it?
I like it. I'm glad that they finally have lifts at the station now, and behind us here there's a nice display of the history of Redfern. They got good displays of where the trains are and what they're doing.
And you've been behind the scenes to a few places, so just tell me where you've been. I know you've been to Flemington, I think?
Yeah, I've been to Flemington, I've been to the new metro platforms at Central. I've been to the Sydney Metro Operations Centre up at Tallawong. Been to the Rail Operations Centre, I've guided a Sydney train.
And you can learn all about Elliot's railway adventures on his YouTube channel, which I've linked to in the top right and in the description below. The stairs for platforms 2 to 7 are on the northeast side, with the lifts on the southwest side. This is the entrance to the stairs for platforms 2 and 3, and the strip lighting on the ceiling is quite unique and distinctive. And unlike the platform 1 stairs, these are fully enclosed. And similar to the concourse, the sides are also made of perforated aluminium panels, although the design is a little different and has a much darker grey colour. The width of the stairs varies between platforms, and this is one of the thinner ones. And that's because it's constrained by the width of platforms 2 and 3. Towards the bottom, there are gaps in the side panels to make it easier to see each side of the platform. This is now looking back up the stairs. And this is how all 3 sets of stairs look from the outside, with the lighter grey coloured roofs and canopies that extend a little way beyond the bottom of each stairway. On platforms 2 and 3, there is a small gap between the new canopy and the old one. And on platforms 4 and 5 and 6 and 7, this gap is a little larger, and this is to create some separation between the new canopies and the old heritage platform buildings. and the new canopies cover the area between the stairs and extend to just beyond the lift entrances on the other side. The platform 2 and 3 lift only has one door, and that's because this lift is slimmer than the one on platform 1. And this is the case for the lifts for platforms 4 to 9 as well. And the reason for these slimmer lifts is due to the width of the platforms, which are not quite wide enough for standard sized lifts. At platform level, the lift doors are on the southwest side, which is the opposite side to the aerial concourse. So unless you want to enjoy the view like I'm doing, there is no need to turn around. If you can think of other stations that have single door lifts, then do let me know in the comments below. So now turning around to the right to check out the platform 4 and 5 stairs. These are about 1.5 times wider than the platform 2 and 3 stairs, and this is probably because the island platform that it serves is significantly wider on this side. Except for the extra width, the design is exactly the same as the platform 2 and 3 stairs. So now for the platform 4 and 5 lift. All the lifts have a waiting area that is known as the lift landing, and as I mentioned earlier, the glass panels on either side offer some lovely views towards Eveleigh and beyond. The buttons on the right side are at the correct height for someone in a wheelchair, whilst those on the other side are a little higher up. And have just been spotted by Matthew. You'll get to see him properly in a moment. Although these lifts are slimmer, they are also longer, so can still accommodate 17 people. And it's cool to see a real Waratah train on the right and its reflection on the left.
Last time I saw Matthew was on a C set. Well, not the last time I saw Matthew, but I saw Matthew on a C set a couple of years ago. It's a video, it's going to appear up here somewhere. He sounded a bit different then.
And it's so amazing to have one of the most busiest stations to finally become accessible. And I'm really excited for this, especially for people like myself and also my sister who's in a wheelchair full time. She can now use this station as well, and it's going to be so much better.
And Matthew, what's your YouTube channel, Matthew?
Yeah, it's AheadMatthewawsome.
And I've put a link to Matthew's channel in the description below. The stairs to platform 6 and 7 are a tiny bit wider than the platform 2 and 3 stairs, but thinner than the stairs to platforms 4 and 5. And again, the design is exactly the same. So now time for a ride in the platform 6 and 7 lift. The new aerial concourse has 6 lifts in total, and it just didn't seem right to miss any out. That droning sound is coming from the demolition work for the old platform 10 entrance, and I'll come back to this a little later. Platforms 6 and 7 were the only platforms that already had lift access, with a lift within the original concourse being installed in 2015.
The opening of this concourse means some new places to film trains. So here is a 1-minute snapshot of Redfern Station at its busiest.
For trains, fines apply. Thank you.
So now moving on to platforms 8 and 9, and these platforms are a bit special as they have a skybridge.
And the reason for this skybridge is because the western end of platforms 8 and 9 are too narrow to accommodate stairs and lifts that run directly from the aerial concourse.
The skybridge entrance is similar to the stair entrances, with next train displays and glass panels on either side. And it has similar design features to the stairways on platforms 2 to 7 as well. These include the strip lighting on the ceiling and the same style of perforated aluminium panels on parts of the skybridge walls. However, to mix things up a bit, some sections on both walls have glass panels, and the transition between these and the perforated aluminium panels adds some variety and makes the walk a little more interesting. Now approaching the end of the skybridge, and you can see the stairs on the left, and we have another thinner single door lift on the right. All the lift shafts and the skybridge were built off-site and craned into place during trackwork possession weekends, and I explained this in more detail in this Redfern update video, now appearing on the top right. As we descend, you can see the strip lighting for the stairs as they run in front of the lift shaft. And the doors are on the northeast side, so facing towards the existing station buildings, and this is the opposite side from the skybridge, so no need to turn around. The platform 8 and 9 stairs are the thinnest of all the stairways, and that's due to a combination of the platform width and the need to include a lift on this side as well. And to accommodate the lift, the stairs are broken into 2 sections, with the upper section going around the lift shaft on the right side. And on my return to the aerial concourse, I got chatting to someone that worked on this project.
So I've got George here, and George, what was the most difficult construction challenge you had for this?
Definitely the logistics of the job. Working over 10 platforms in a live environment, making sure that operations are impacted. The way the configs and the possessions are set up, you might only get 2, 3, 4 of the lines out at any one time. So it's very staged, very precise sequencing, and nothing can go out of order.
Oh, okay, right.
So for example, when we launch the bridge over, that had to be done first, and then we can incrementally build, go roof up with the building, and then break into the building. So everything's very segmented, working on certain platforms at certain times.
And the breaking into the building, can you remember when that happened?
That happened this year, and it would have been about May this year.
Right, okay.
Yep.
Yeah, because I was keeping an eye on it, but it was quite hard to see it from the platform.
Would have been hard to see here, yeah. So a lot of temporary works, very intricate design regards to, because the whole building maintained its existing facade, so that was one of the challenges. So it's old versus new, tying that together, and a great output is what you can see there.
Yeah, fantastic. How does it feel to see it all now complete?
Yeah, it's, you know what, it's rewarding. It's probably the best way to put it.
Brilliant.
A lot of sweat, a lot of tears, some heartache along the way, but that's why we do it. You see, you see the reaction on the public's and the passengers' faces. Some comments this morning about how good it looks and how much the ease that it will take operationally in regards to getting one side of Redfern to the other. So look, that's what it's all about. The end user, not what we do.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, George.
Not a problem.
Now for platform 10. And as the southwest part of this platform is very short and narrow, both the lift and stairs are on the northeast side. The lift is at the end of the aerial concourse, and to the right of it is the Marian Street Entrance, which I'll come back to shortly. As you can see, it has 2 doors, so we're back to the standard wider lift that you saw earlier for platform 1. Now this lift has stopping points for both the Marian Street Entrance and platform 10, so that's 3 stops in total. And the lift doors for the 2 lower stops are on the opposite side, so no need to turn around, which is particularly helpful for people in wheelchairs. So this is the Marian Street level, with stairs to the platform straight ahead and the Marian Street Entrance around to the right. I reckon this lift will be busiest between the aerial concourse and the Marian Street Entrance, with only a few people continuing down to platform 10. Behind the lift is what looks like an air conditioning unit, and I'm not sure if this is for the lift or for something else. Now for the stairs, and notice that these are not covered or enclosed, and that's probably because this platform is lightly used, with just a few terminating trains on weekdays. At the top of these stairs is the entrance to the lift that I was in a moment ago, and around to the left is the Marian Street Entrance and stairs to the aerial concourse. So let's now take a look at the new Marian Street Entrance, and as you can see, this is very, very different to the one on Little Eveleigh Street. The entrance is on Marian Street itself, and has easy access from Gibbon Street via a new pedestrian crossing, and then via paths within the Gibbon Street Reserve. And it's also close to Cornwallis Street and the historic and thriving South Eveleigh area. This entrance is very open, and it's like a roof on stilts, as it doesn't have any external walls. Its design reflects the surrounding area, especially the nearby Gibbon Street Reserve. The roof is supported by 7 columns. See if you can spot all 7 of them. This entrance is basically an extension of the aerial concourse, and it uses the same perforated aluminium panels for the sides, along with the now familiar aluminium battens on the ceiling and the yellow, orange and red colours that are behind them. Now technically this is not a new entrance, as there was a very basic entrance here before. Let me explain. At the southwest end of platform 10 was a set of stairs, and that went up to this basic entrance that had 3 Opal card readers and not much else. It closed on Friday the 6th of October 2023, with demolition starting the following day, and when the new concourse and entrances opened on the Sunday, just a small concrete slab marked where the old entrance used to be. The tracks into both platforms 9 and 10 were closed to allow this work to happen. So I guess it's a case of now you see it and now you don't. Just like Little Eveleigh Street, Marian Street has become a shared zone, and the security bollards in front of the entrance feature the same Aboriginal designs. And this is where the old entrance used to be, and to the right of that is a new plaza with bicycle hoops and a few native trees. So this new entrance connects to the aerial concourse via a set of stairs, with this lift that you saw earlier being the step-free option. And this entrance also links directly to the stairs for platform 10. So now inside and looking towards the Opal Gates and Marian Street, with the much busier Gibbon Street on the left. And you can see the community access entry to the right of the Opal Gates. The next train displays are very visible even before entering the station. And there are 8 of these displays in total, and the wall behind them is part of the services building, and within this is a family accessible toilet. Let's take a look inside. So this toilet is suitable for people in wheelchairs, and it also has baby changing facilities as well, and all the other things you'd normally expect. And close to this toilet is a water refill station, which is very refreshing. From the Opal Gates, the stairs to the concourse are on your left and are easy to spot. And the stairway is very wide, making use of the entire 6-metre width of the aerial concourse. And you can see how the ceiling and wall on the left naturally become part of this concourse. The lift that I was in earlier is to the right of these stairs, with the entrance on the left. And over on the right are the stairs to platform 10 that you saw a few moments ago.
Okay, time to see the Marian Street entrance being built right before your eyes.
Work started first on the services building in February 2022, and this abutment is for the end of the aerial concourse. By April, work had started on the floor, and by June, the columns and metal frame for the roof had appeared. This is now July 2022, and by this time the stairs and lift shaft were in place and the ceiling was starting to take shape along with the services building. And by September the perforated aluminium panels had appeared, and by October some of the ceiling battens and coloured panels were in place and the services building looked complete. This is now in January 2023 and it already looked close to completion, and you can see work to finish the aerial concourse ceiling happening as well. And by March it looked pretty much done, with signage in place by June.
So I'm now on platforms 11 and 12, which as you can see are underground. And these 2 platforms serve the T4 Eastern Suburbs and Illawarra line, and they didn't get lifts as part of this upgrade, and a couple of people weren't very happy about that.
For everybody except for the T4, they haven't bothered to done 11 and 12 yet.
I just wish they could make the T4 accessible.
Like some people's relationship status, it's complicated and options to install lifts are limited, but it is being investigated.
That's right. Lifts are likely to be added as part of a new development on this land that is alongside Gibbon Street, which currently has a staff car park. And it might also include this area behind the platform 10 retaining wall. Until this happens, step-free interchanges with the T4 are available at Central and Sydenham. So now back to opening day, and in attendance is Chris Minns, the New South Wales Premier, and Joe Haylen, the New South Wales Transport Minister. And this is Raymond Weatherall from the Metropolitan Local Aboriginal Land Council, and he is performing an Aboriginal smoke ceremony, and it was good planning to do this outside of the station entrance, as setting off the fire alarms would not have been a good look. This plaque is probably now somewhere on the station, and if you spot it, let me know in the comments. The party then went for a tour of the new aerial concourse, and I'm sure this helped them achieve their daily goal of 10,000 steps. So now in the Little Eveleigh Street entrance, and this is Matt Longland, and he is the CEO of Sydney Trains. Now heading back down the concourse to do a very special job.
Hey, tear it open.
This is the first time I've been at a media event like this, and I wasn't even invited, but Sharath and I seemed to fit in, although I wished I'd dressed up a bit. And I did have a little bit of camera envy, but I guess that's to be expected. Anyway, coming up are some words from Chris Minns, Joe Haylen and Matt Longland. The audio is a bit rubbish, but hopefully you'll get the gist of what they're saying.
On the 5th busiest train station in the entire network, which meant routinely closing down the lines and ensuring that it was a safe as well as efficient workplace to get this construction project up and running?
It means that parents with prams, the elderly, people with disability, people with bikes and luggage will now be able to access the train services here at Redfern.
Today is a very exciting day for Redfern. Sydney Trains has been servicing this community since 1878. It's one of our oldest stations. For the first time, 10 platforms here at Redfern are fully accessible.
I then got chatting with Jerome, who is the Alliance project manager for this upgrade.
So tell me about what it's been like building this.
It was a real challenge.
Yeah.
We follow you on your channel and YouTube with the great video and news you make. Now we open and officially today the premier and the minister came, so really glad. It's been a real challenge for the last 3 years to build this great infrastructure.
What's your favourite bit of this station? Is it one of the entrances? Is it the concourse?
Probably, it's the entrances with the Elliot's building, where we married the old and the traditional and heritage. It's been really technical, but also I think so the technicality of install the bridge and the building. It was really interesting and challenge, and we are proud of that.
Great stuff. Great.
No, thank
Brilliant.
you.
Cool.
It was
All
very
right,
good. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Keep going with that. Thank you.
So that's the new concourse and entrances to Redfern Station. If you have any questions, please leave those below, and do like this video and subscribe to the Transport Vlog YouTube channel if you haven't done so already. And if you'd like to see these videos a couple of days before everyone else, then join me on Patreon. There's a link in the description below. So I'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch this video, and I'll see you in another one soon. Bye for now.